I'll run you through the ones we already did quickly. He had a tie at 12 for Ozzie Newsome and Brian Sipe. Number 11 was Myles Garrett. I'll bump that one up personally. We'll get to that here in a second. Number 10 was Clay Matthews. Number 9 was Paul Warfield. Number 8 was Bobby Mitchell. Number 7 was Nick Chubb. I think that's interesting, having that above Myles Garrett. I think that's pretty strange. Number 6, defensive tackle Jerry Shirk, and that's where we kind of left off. That defensive tackle was taken number 47 overall in the 1970 draft there. I don't remember a whole lot about Jerry Shirk. I was born in, after that, 6 years after that draft pick was taken. So a little bit before my time there. Now, when we get to number 5, defensive lineman Michael Dean Perry had been taken number 50 overall in the 1988 Browns draft. Now, I mostly remember him, yes, from watching him, yes, but it was also, and Steve mentions this here, the MDP, the McDonald's triple cheeseburger with bacon, which was honestly one of the better things I remember them having when I was a kid, and I was like, dude, this should be a thing forever. MDP went to Clemson there. Let me see. He made Pro Bowls in a 6-year span under 3 Browns head coaches. And in 2020, Hall of Fame voter Clark Judge wrote on whether Perry belongs in Canton, Judge, he deserves to be discussed, MDP. And I remember him fondly, and again, partially because of the cheeseburger, that helps. Best Browns draft picks all time, according to Steve Dorshuk. Number 4, linebacker Walt Michaels. He went number 86 overall in 1951, well before my time there. Number 3 is running back Leroy Kelly. He went number 110 overall in 1964. Now, again, Leroy Kelly's a name I know more. I've heard referenced more. I've seen more video of. Again, I think that's about position versus a defensive end. And so welcome to that, right? Running backs kind of matter. Number 2, best Browns draft picks all time. Quarterback Bernie Kosar. Supplemental draft of 1985.
Did you bring?
We had been kind of faceless for a while, looking for a
Carl.
looking for a face of the franchise.
The other one.
Oh no.
And apparently,
because that is from there, from down to the, the homes there in down.
Overwhelmingly popular
I thought you had jeans for that guy over at the car dealership.
No, we will pick up.
We're picking up.
Yeah, we will pick it up. Not for.
I thought you were dropping off.
The Cleveland fan base, with the Browns fan base. But I'm okay with it. I'm not looking to tell anybody, you like Bernie and that makes you an
just
idiot.
only we need to check here, but browse, because maybe they have something that I need for
the Super Bowl.
It's more
sometimes you
less.
need a quarterback that can make you relevant.
Sometimes they're selling their secondhand threads.
All right, is this a crazy comparison?
So I can use
Somebody
it.
just called me Stephen A. Smith 2 minutes ago because apparently I have hot takes. Is this a hot take? Is Kirk Cousins the Bernie Kosar of today? Is that kind of where Bernie Kosar is? Kirk Cousins, really good, but kind of can't get you over the hump. Is that a fair comparison? It's not like I've put a lot of thought into that comparison and said, these two guys are the same. It's just, I'm pulling in I started thinking about it. I was like, who's current? Who I think teams would want, and yet people will tell you you're never going to be able to win it all with them. And the first name that comes to mind is Kirk Cousins. And that's kind of what Bernie Kosar was. Now, yes, did he get the title with Dallas and he kneeled down and that whole thing? And that, there's that. Sure, okay. I think Bernie would tell you he would have rather played and started. This was one of the things that people thought Bill Belichick was crazy over. And he kind of gave you his system. He kind of tipped his hand on what his system would be moving forward the rest of his coaching career. Let's move off a player a year too early versus 2 years too late. And when you get that right, it probably is a good system. Holding on to a player too long and paying too much for a player who's like, dude, this isn't really working out, it can really hurt your team. You got to know when you cut a guy or trade a guy that he may have some success. He may see a little bit of that, but you got to see down the field. But people, dude, they were furious over it. And you start dealing with fan favorites like that. And, of course, you'll deal with some heat. So number 2 was Bernie Kosar. Number 1, nobody should be surprised here. Again,
they're trimming the trees around the utility poles.
And the house
running back Jim Brown,
ruined.
number 6 overall, 1957.
Yes, it is. I saw it.
To be the best running back of all time. Other people will tell you he's the best football player.
They cutting in the roof and the side of the house is already damaged.
I don't know if I would have him as the best football player of all time.
I just saw a tree laying on the
less games than we have now.
That kind of
still
stuff
putting
there.
up huge numbers, and there's all of that, and there's the lore.
See all those
and
trees are
there's the
all
social
around the
activism off the
utility
field that has a lot of people love, and that kind of helps push you up on the ladder a little bit there too. Yes, there's some off the field issues that weren't so great. People talk about that with Jim Brown all of the time. I can't really push back on this list a whole lot. I think Steve is probably more knowledgeable about these things than I am, so I don't want to go crazy here, but there is one name that isn't on his top 12, and I'm going to scroll again quickly here just to make sure I didn't miss it. And I don't see, there is an honorable mention section at the end of this, and he does say it there. But again, in his top 12, there's a Hall of Famer from the Cleveland Browns that wasn't listed.
Flat out
A
ran
Hall
that
of
red light.
Famer.
Whoops.
Joe Thomas. That seems crazy to not have Joe Thomas as one of the best picks overall. Now, he does have in other Cleveland Browns draft picks considered. Gene Hickerson, Joe Thomas, who went number 3 overall in 2007. So he has him there. Doug Deacon, Hanford Dixon, Webster Slaughter, yeah, not wrong. Joel Bitonio, not a bad pick there. So there's some honorable mentions there. Not having Thomas on the list of best Browns draft picks seems absolutely crazy to me, and I'll give you just a few reasons why. Left tackle is probably one of the most important positions in the entire sport. You got to get the quarterback right. It's probably, is it edge rusher, quarterback, and left tackle? Could that be it right now in the NFL? It seems like those are the positions people talk about the most. I don't know if that necessarily makes them the most important. Welcome to, what moves the needle on shows. That it could literally just be that. Now, I've said you kind of wasted Joe Thomas. I mean, you did. I mean, you had one of the best left tackles, they say, in the history of the NFL, and you gave him absolutely 0 quarterbacks to work with. And so maybe that's it. It didn't lead to a lot of winning. I mean, Joe Thomas saw so much bad football. I mean, that guy saw bad football game after bad football game. I know. I mean, I was working game day operations for one of the radio stations when we were carrying the team while he was there. I had to go to I was required to go to every home game of the season, multiple years in a row, and it was just like, dude, they're the bad news Browns. They're crying out loud. I mean, just look at the jersey with all the quarterbacks, names on it. How many head coaches did I see in that run when I was working there? I mean, a lot. A ton. So if you want to talk about how it didn't lead to a lot of winning, and maybe that's why he's not top 12, I could get that. I think it's a little crazy when we have a Hall of Famer at an important position to not have him top 12. I would have him top 12. I also thought putting Nick Chubb above Myles Garrett, I won't call it egregious. It was surprising to me. Again, we just kind of talked about it. Pass rusher, quarterback, left tackle, that's kind of what matters. Nick is above average when you start talking about running backs. He was, for a little while, probably the best running back in the league, and they're important, yes, but the position has been devalued over the last decade, if not a little bit longer than that. All things are cyclical. I think you're going to see a resurgence of the running back position in the next handful of years. We'll see. I could be wrong on that. That might be one of those hot Stephen A. Smith takes. I don't know where people are getting that, but okay. That might be one of those. But not having Joe Thomas, even honestly, not having him top 12, I think is nuts. I would have had him top 5 for sure. It's 330-450-7625 to text the studio. Michael has. The Stands Range, you're talking about the best Browns draft picks all time. And again, I pulled that list from Steve Dorshaw. But why should I listen to you about that? Think the Browns don't have picks going in this draft because it's Deshaun and you love that move. Yeah, I did. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say I love it. I thought he was a talented guy. He was my example for years when everybody was telling me Baker's issues were coaching. And I said, nobody thinks Bill O'Brien's a good coach. But when you turn on Texans games and you watch Deshaun play, it's like, oh, man, that kid's pretty good, dude. And, he was pretty good. We are yet to see that. We've seen flashes of it, not enough games of it. And I would agree there. Deshaun's a little too Kawhi Leonard for me. If I'm 85%, I'm not playing. I got to be 150% to do it. I don't love that. And when that move happened, I said, I don't care about the money. I don't care about the money. I don't care about the guaranteed money. I think guaranteed money in sports is dumb, but I don't get to decide that. The amount of the money I didn't think was all that big of a deal. Wait a couple of years, and it almost looks measured by how much more money you're giving people. I said the draft picks was going to be the problem because historically this team has had trouble filling the cabinet, and they have done that. But you're not necessarily wrong there. I was a little bit more pro the Deshaun move than some of the Baker bros were, for sure, absolutely. As we brought Kirk Cousins up, right? Because we were talking a little Bernie Kosar. I said, is Kirk Cousins the current era Bernie Kosar, right? Really good. You're going to win a bunch of games. Probably not the guy, right? Like that whole thing. And a few of you, or at least one of you, had said Phillip Rivers is the most recent Bernie Kosar. All right, he's out of the league now, but I can understand how you get there, how you could see that. I think a guy who's still playing, it feels like Cousins to me, but I could be dead wrong. I think what I have here now is Brian texted in, again, 330-450-7625, and it says, wait, we're talking Browns, we're talking draft, and you're talking good picks? Like, this team's known for the bad ones, man. Like, all right, so I looked this up. This from SI, Sports Illustrated. Top 10 worst Browns draft picks. We'll do this a little quicker. Number 10, Mike Phipps. That happened in 1970. That was a quarterback. And and if I have to tell you it was a quarterback, that's how you know the pick wasn't any good. Right. William Green, drafted in 2002. I would have to tell on myself here a little bit. I thought that pick was going to work a little bit better. The running back out of Boston College. I thought William Green was going to be a little bit better than he ended up being. Number 8 was Brandon Weeden, picked in 2012. Again, a quarterback. Wasn't he like 28 when they took him? And that was like the joke around the league is like, this guy's damn near 30 and you're drafting him tonight, right? They have Steve Holden and Pete Adams tied at 7. And let me see, Holden had been a wide receiver and an offensive guard, and Adams there, that was in 1973. I'll have to tell you, my Browns history isn't that good. I don't necessarily remember those names. I don't know those guys. This one I was there for. I was part of a draft party put on by the official flagship FM home of the Cleveland Browns when I worked there. Brady Quinn, drafted in the year 2007. That was in the first round, pick number 22 out of Notre Dame. I was down on that pick. I was on the air vocal about being down on that pick. I remember because there were so many people furious with me. That must have been one of my Stephen A. Smith hot takes that I don't do. But that must have been one of those with Brady Quinn. Again, SI has him 6 there. Bobby Garrett, drafted in 1954. That, again, another quarterback that the Browns didn't have pan out. Courtney Brown, a defensive end. I remember that pick. That was the year 2000, early on in my radio career there, but I do remember that one out of Penn State. Again, I thought Courtney Brown was going to end up being better than that. Number 3, Browns' worst draft picks all time, Justin Gilbert, let me see here, pick number 8 in the first round, cornerback there, 2014, out of Oklahoma State. I don't remember having an opinion one way or the other there on Justin Gilbert. I probably had one, I just don't remember what it would have been. Mike Junkin is the second worst draft pick the Browns ever made, according to Sports Illustrated. That happened in 1987, first round, pick number 5, linebacker out of Duke, that powerful football school. And then number 1 overall, Johnny Manziel, drafted 2014, first round, pick 22, quarterback, Texas A&M. I remember exactly where I was for that one. Exactly. I was in between radio jobs for that one, and I was sitting hammered drunk at the Foundry in Lakewood. And I was watching the draft with some friends, and I said, oh no, here they go. Here they go. Now, I thought he was a value pick at 22 because there were rumors he could go top 5, number 1. There were rumors the Browns were going to take him early on in the draft. I said, no. Don't tie this kind of money into this kid. At 22, I was like, all right, we may get a value pick here. And if he pans out, but I never bought into the Money Manziel thing. I always thought it looked stupid. I never really felt like he was taking it seriously. Sure enough, that has all been proven right. I was not the only one to be saying it. Most people were saying it. The interesting thing there is, Johnny didn't work hard. There was not Ron Mexico, but there was like the fake name and the sitting on the swan. And I remember when I was complaining about Baker Mayfield, I kept saying, it's not that he sucks. Like, he doesn't suck. He doesn't. I was like, Johnny Manziel sucked. When I watched Manziel on the field, you could see the fear in his eyes through the face mask. He was terrified every minute of every play. And I was like, he's not ready. He's not the guy. Baker almost had too much confidence. Like, a little too much. Like, Bake, you can't make that throw right there, man. Like, you're a little too confident. It's like people who have a singing voice, they sing in the shower. That's Baker in his arm. Like, he believes he's Brett Favre, who forced too many footballs into receivers. And he's not Brett Favre. He's not, right? And Baker I said, he's not Johnny Manziel. This isn't an NFL quarterback for sure. I didn't think Baker was a number 1 overall pick. He felt like a reach at number 1. Now, I thought the Browns should have taken Sam Darnold in that draft, which makes me an idiot. You know what I mean? So don't let me skate on that one, right? Nobody's perfect at this stuff, least of all radio hosts who have never been a general manager of a team, right? So, like, I don't expect 100% accuracy out of myself there. But Manziel felt like this was easy to see. I mean, it was all about him. There was the fake companies and the making money while in college and printing of the T-shirts and never taking it seriously and going to Vegas. He never seemed to understand that the Cleveland Browns needed a guy. They needed a guy to give a damn. And I got to give Baker that. Very few people have gone into a situation like that and jumped in with both feet and said, no, put your faith right here. I'm the guy. I got to give him that. I do. He wanted the challenge of it. He did. He reveled in it. You kind of need it. You do kind of need a little bit of that. I don't think it's the only thing you need, and I look for Baker to have a regression year this year. I could be dead wrong here, but that division got better. Again, Kirk Cousins is in it now, and a lot of people feel as if the Atlanta Falcons are going to win that division because Kirk Cousins is there now. It's actually one of the divisions. It was terrible last year. Baker went 8-9 and made the playoffs. Cincinnati went 8-9 and finished dead last, I believe, in our division. So that tells you what was happening there, right, down there in Tampa. And so we'll see what happens. I actually am looking forward to keeping my eyes on that division this year because I think that fight between Kirk Cousins and Baker Mayfield could be really, really interesting. People think I want to be right about stuff. I actually don't. You realize if Baker Mayfield wins the Super Bowl, you know how easy my job is? All I got to do is sit here and talk about how wrong I am. How right you were works for 2 minutes. I'm wrong, I'm an idiot. Watch now as I show you all of my mistakes, works for 10. Everybody thinks what we want is to dig our heels in and just be right and just this. It's not really the case, at least not with me it is. I would love to be right. I don't think I'm wrong about Baker overall. I really don't. I may have been wrong about Deshaun being the guy you should go get instead of Baker. There, I may meet you, and I guess we'll wait and see what happens this season and maybe next year before anybody can really make a ruling on that. Welcome back to the Stansbury Show. We've been talking a little NFL draft. That gets underway this evening. The Browns don't pick until tomorrow. Number 54, their first pick in this draft. Tim says, wait, we're talking worst Browns draft picks ever, and Trent Richardson didn't get named? Yeah, that was a big one there, out of Alabama, if memory serves, and I'd have to admit this to you, that was one I missed too. I thought that was such a great pick. I was jumping up and down. I thought it was such a good pick. And then, no, not even a little bit, man. I totally screwed up the Trent Richardson. I'm going to move off the draft as it gets underway tonight. We'll obviously have some more conversations about it tomorrow, but not everybody's all in on it, so we'll move forward now. I did see this, and I wasn't really going to get into it, but it's kind of taken on a life of its own, so I figured why not. I posted this at my Facebook so you can see. Andrew Tate. And I was just saying yesterday that internet celebrities are almost becoming bigger than the actual celebrities. Right? I was like, we're the celebrities. And Andrew Tate had made his way in the world as, well, a cage fighter really is kind of the thing, and he's pretty good. And he and his brother have been influencers, and they have run cam girl sites, and there was some wild allegations about sex trafficking and all of that. And, he's always claiming the Matrix is out to get him, and You know, he's trying to teach dudes how to be alpha males. And guys, if you need to learn it, you aren't one. If you have to learn it, you aren't. It's just that simple, right? But make sure to pay Andrew his money. And, you know, he's got some online courses that you take, and apparently you'll get rich and you'll get a bigger penis or whatever the hell it is the lies are. And, you know, he's out there kind of hawking stuff. And I have defended Andrew, and I want to pause here to say I have defended some of his statements. And I have been critical of some of his other statements. And that's kind of how I work. I try not to necessarily go crazy on the person. It's just like, well, let's look at what happened. And plenty of things Andrew Tate has told men are true. How you feel, this is one of his big ones, how you feel should not decide what you do. And he's right. I don't feel like working out. Who cares? Go to the gym anyway. I feel like eating my feelings in these fries. Don't. Eat this instead. He's right about that. A little discipline, he's right. So, like, not everything the man has said has been crazy. He has said and done some things that I would think are crazy. And this latest is on that side of the fence for me. This is what he said. Sex is for making children. Any man who has sex with a woman with women because it feels good is gay. He goes on to say, oh, my pee-pee feels good. This is great. In fact, if you are 40 with less than 5 children, you're probably gay. All that feel-good pee-pee sex and hardly any genetic legacy. Okay? So there's a lot to unpack here, and I mean a lot. Okay? So first a woman tells me that's not a real post, because I posted it at my Facebook page, and she was like, that's not a real post. Okay, so first, I follow Andrew, not because I agree with everything he says, but it's like, this dude's going to supply some stuff at some point. I want to make sure I know about it when it happens, just like what's happening right now. That's why I follow the bulk of the people I follow. I lose this job tomorrow. Dude, honestly, those social media accounts might be active about 30 more minutes. And then that'd be like, I'd be sad about losing my job, and then I would go, oh my God, I get to do this now. And I would just be out, right? Be done. Okay? So this woman says to me, that's not a real post. To which I replied to her, well, I saw it when he posted it. So do you mean he's being sarcastic, or that he was hacked and somebody wrote this for him and this isn't his position? Which one of those would be true? Because he posted it, which then would technically make it a real post. Now, plenty of people have picked up on it and said, oh my God, people are taking this seriously. Sarcasm is dead. Plenty of people have already written that on my page about it. This was bait, and you took it. Well, no, I just said this from the guy who ran Camgirl sites and facepalmed there, right? That doesn't necessarily mean I didn't know this was bait. It, of course, is bait. Do you know why he was baiting you? Because I actually know the genesis of the story. It's because Elon Musk said the other day, we're going to crack down on engagement farming. This is where I said we have a lot to unpack here. Because we just talked hot takes earlier in the program, right? That term has evolved. Hot take is this person doesn't believe this, but they're going to say it because it's going to get attention. That's what a hot take is. You disagreeing with Colin Cowherd doesn't mean he's giving you a hot take. That's not the same thing. Disagreeing with his opinion isn't the same thing as him being a hot take artist. That's not what it is. Skip Bayless is much more a hot take guy. Skip Bayless believes next to nothing he says. Dave Portnoy is a hot take guy. Nobody ever says it to him. That guy believes next to nothing he says. But he knows it's going to get the engagement. That's what a hot take is. And engagement farming started out meaning one thing, and it's now being kind of turned into meaning a little bit of everything. Forget about it. It's kind of one of those. What Elon meant was this. If we're having a conversation on my platform known as X, people who are responding to the conversation with things that have nothing to do with the conversation, that are just going to get a bunch of likes and it's an emoji about something completely different, we're going to restrict that So we keep the conversations about what they are meant to be. He went on and was like, we're going to stop this. What most people believe engagement farming is essentially a hot take. You don't believe this. You're just saying it so it will go viral. Look between the F and the B keys on your keyboard. And like that's most people believe engagement farming. I told you, this was 2 years ago, that you're starting to see people inaccurately say things in their videos that they post. They're putting things in their recipes that don't go in there. Why? So people would go, you're an idiot, that doesn't go in that. It's like, no, you're an idiot. They're trying to increase the engagement. That is an engagement farm. We've moved the term down the field, and Elon's looking to crack down on it on his service. And so Andrew Tate posted something like this to test said theory. The man believes that, well, he has said both, so it's kind of tough. But I have heard him say that men are superior plenty of times. There is absolutely no way Andrew Tate views having sex with women, what we'll call sport effing, as you being gay. He doesn't. I think there's a little, I'm testing Elon's theory here. I think there's also a little, everything's kind of gay now, right? And so he's kind of like, hey, since everything's gay and everything is this, he's doing that. Do I believe he was actually trying to pass this off as an opinion? No. Do I believe sarcasm is dead because people took him seriously? No. You are not judged in the moment. You are judged by who you were leading up to the moment. As I've said only 10 million times in here. And who has Andrew Tate been leading up into this moment? The guy who tells you, I'm Jesus Christ, I will lead you to the land of milk and honey, pay me and my loser brother Tristan a bunch of money, we'll make you alpha.